Behind me is a state-of-the-art professional brew house, and in this video, you're going to learn what it's like to brew on it. One of my favorite parts of this entire process is when sweet wort makes its way off the line and into the cellar for fermentation, which happens at the end of the process. But all things on this brew house begin with the push of a button. So once we've initiated that recipe sequence, you manually add grains to a manual bag dump in the grain room, and the rest of the grain is conveyed into the grist case, which is right behind me, from our 2-row silos. And that's the first part of the process. Grain comes in, charges the grist case, and then you move on to mashing in. Once the grain in step is complete and the grist case is full, we initiate the mashing sequence. Right behind me, and as we speak, we are mashing a batch of King Julius where the grain is being crushed and exposed to hot water where the extraction of sugar can take place in the mash mixer, which we'll see next. Once those grains have been crushed down below, they make their way over to the mash mixer, which is right behind me. At that stage of the brewing process, a little bit of manual touch comes in, where the brewers add the brewing salts directly into the mash. One point that I want to make about this brew house is that it's highly customizable, and much like a great pilot can take control of a modern airliner, if necessary, our brewers can take control of this brew house at any point and manipulate every single variable to exactly what we need to make the beer that we love so much. After 45 minutes in the mash mixer, we then transfer this sweet mash into what's called the lauter tun, which is right over my right shoulder. Once we're in the lauter tun, we conduct a step that's called cloudy wort recirculation, where the sweet wort is drawn from below the grain bed and redistributed back on top to clarify it and make it ready for runoff into what's called the wort kettle. It's during this step that we can pull samples and analyze the wort for its sugar content, its pH, and other variables that our brewers can adjust as needed on the fly to a high precision. Once the wort is clarified, we then begin what's called the lautering step. During the lautering step, we add hot water to the top of the grain bed and rinse the sugar from the grain over into the wort kettle. Once the lautering step is complete, you have grain that's been rinsed of its sugar that still has agronomic value out in the field. And one of the great things about this brew house is that laborious step happens automatically on its way into the spent grain silo. In the kettle, the wort undergoes a 3-step brewing process, the first of which is the pre-boil, the second of which is the simmer boil, and the final of which is the post-boil. Adding hops during those steps and other compounds are boiled off during those steps that are really important to a beautiful and clean finished beer. Once your boil is complete and that beautiful wort has been hopped and sterilized, now it makes its way into what's called the Whirlpool Vessel. The Whirlpool Vessel, on a professional scale, you can actually add additional flavor and aroma hops, which in a Tree House style IPA is something that we do on nearly every batch. The Whirlpool Vessel enables us to separate coagulated proteins and spent hops from that beautiful wort to make it ready to head into the fermentation cellar for its final destination. We made it. This is the final step of the process where right here, through this heat exchanger, 190-degree King Julius is being cooled down to fermentation temperature somewhere in the low 70s. And at this nozzle is the liquid gold that we've created by turning beautiful grain into fresh King Julius. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching.